How come most startups fail, even when we have more tactics and strategies than ever before? Join the bedside chat of an entrepreneurial couple as they share what it takes to create a business with ease and in flow.
Welcome back to another episode of Biz in Flow Bedside Chat. I'm Natasha Koo.
And I am Jachym.
What a grand entrance.
That's right.
Into bed with you listeners. So, today was a special day. It's Saturday.
Why?
Oh, you cut me off.
I know.
It was a special day because we did a live event for Biz in Flow. What?
Hooray! What?
It was a full house, and we had a 2-hour workshop on the topic of going from fight to flow. So Jachym, how was that for you? You were extremely excited the whole day, or was it just the early afternoon as we were prepping for it? I mean, by prepping, I was getting some snacks ready, getting the tea ready, setting up the chairs, and you were just ecstatic.
Yeah, I was very excited, and I loved every minute of it. And I was excited because it was the very first time that we were sharing the stage together, and I just couldn't wait to see how it goes, because I just had a great feeling about it, and I thought that it will be great together, you and me. And we learned a lot in the sense of how we can structure it in the future, but I genuinely enjoyed doing it, co-leading it rather than just doing it by myself like I've done in the past. Nothing wrong with that, but I am much more enjoying it with you.
So just to give you a bit of background background info, Jachym's been giving a lot of these workshops for many years now. At the beginning, it was more focused on technique
and hypnosis.
Yeah, that was at the beginning, and then of course you began to shift away from that. But you're really used to regularly leading small-scale workshops or speaking in front of audiences internationally, and just being really good in group live events, facilitated or just you up there monologuing yourself. But yeah, it's something you're really comfortable with, wouldn't you say?
That's right. I've done, because when I started off with hypnosis, I just did a meetup group, and I would just create lots of meetups. There were over 60 meetups in total with different topics, sometimes also group hypnosis and stuff like that. So I had lots of engagement, and I also was part of hypnosis school, or was teaching hypnosis. So yeah, teaching, workshops, speaking has been a part of my life for quite a while now.
Mm-hmm. As for me, I was feeling a little bit nervous about it because it's been a really long time since I've done a group live event. I have one-on-one clients online. I have group calls online. I do lots of live streaming online. One-on-one also, one-on-one intensives or retreats in person, but I find that to be a completely different dynamic when you have a group of people who are just totally new to you. You don't really know what level of self-awareness they have, or how open they are to receiving, what we have to share. So it was really interesting to see how it turned out today. And I guess my fear kind of came true in that I was kind of leading the workshop in a way where, like, this is the exact way I would show up for a one-on-one client. But then soon I realized that it's not the best idea, because I needed a lot more, not direction, but I needed to be firmer. I needed to almost show up like a teacher, like a real authority in the room. And usually when I'm in a coaching conversation, it's quite balanced in the relationship. So I realized that when you're really at the front of the room and you have a bunch of people in front of you, you gotta really take the lead and kind of guide exactly where they need to go. And I find that in one-on-one conversations, I'm able to just do it naturally. Well, this was a little bit harder for me, a little bit unnatural. So I was really grateful that Jachym was able to supplement like his points and his style of working. And it really consolidated again, at least what I think is that I'm really, really good at holding the space. Like I show up, I hold the space for my contacts, for my customers, for my clients, and then like magic happens. Like what needs to get done just does, and I say what I want to occurs to me in the moment, and it really, really, really moves things forward. And I realized that I'm just perfect for one-on-one work, for work where I'm just with the people, I'm guiding them somewhere to a feeling with a story. It's kind of organic, while Jachym brings a completely different energy. You're a really good teacher. Like that's kind of how you come across.
Well, tell me more. Like, how do you perceive how I come across?
I hope you do share something on this podcast today, Jachym.
I will.
Okay, but when I mean teacher, you speak with authority. There's a great deal of leadership. You know exactly where you want to take the audience. You get to the point. You are unwavering in what it is that you're sharing. And you have this really strong stance in what it is that you want to get across, and you back it up with examples, your past experiences, and it just like makes a lot of sense. Like even if someone is new to what you're sharing, they're like, yeah, that makes sense, or how you're presenting it is really I wouldn't say palatable, because for some people it might still be like, oh, I don't know if I've experienced that before, if I totally relate to that. But you present it in a way where it's like hard to deny.
Yeah, I don't know, it's just kind of been easy for me to do it that way. But it's also something that has become more and more the more I've just seen it, and the more I've worked with clients, and the more I have engaged with clients who might have been a bit more challenging at certain points for me, and who could be quite headstrong and quite upfront. That has helped me to find my grounding and my certainty, and to see how I can handle different situations. And I, especially with just how people are, they have a certain level of consciousness. I don't have any better words, and they are stuck in the problem, and they're looking for the same solutions with the same thinking that has created the problem. Of course, that's not where the solution is at. And so I've just become more accustomed to just cut to the chase and point them back to what's actually going to help them, which is looking at themselves, looking at the patterns within themselves, looking at where their experience is coming from, rather than looking on the outside and all the problems. And having this kind of clarity really has helped me to just be direct and to make it easier for them. And what have you kind of learned from this experience of doing this workshop?
Well, I think we have a lot of content that we can actually work with. Of course, I guess the first thing I can start with is the workshop itself and how we performed. So there's two pieces. That's one. And then another thing I have learned is how we can build upon this format where we do live events. So I'll start with the one where how I can improve and what I've learned I could just work on more. So the first thing is that you are really good at making concise concepts. You're really good at presenting things really clearly in a succinct way. And I'm really good at going with the flow, meeting people where they are in the moment and giving my piece. It's still relevant, it's still valuable, but I can't seem to come into the room and give a framework and say this is the I don't know, what we're going to talk about today is within this framework, and here's the range, and it works like this. It's really hard for me to categorize or generalize things into that way, but you're really good at it. So I felt like I was really not the best position out of us two to begin the workshop, because you're so much clearer in how you speak and how you present your ideas, and it's a really good thing that you frame and you introduce what it is that we're going to share, and then I'm there to supplement, facilitate along the way.
Yeah, so we kind of learned that it's how we can kind of distribute the roles in a workshop that makes sense to us and that play to the strength of each one of us. And that was a good experience, and so we're going to hold another workshop probably in 2 weeks. We're going to set it up tomorrow or whatever, and we'll keep experimenting and playing. I really like, we're doing it small scale, not many people, and it's a great way of just experimenting and learning what works for us and how we jive together. That is good for the audience, good for us, good for the flow, before we go larger. So I really like it.
So Jachym's touching on the second point of how can we utilize this workshop. So first of all, it was really just a hunch that I got. We should test out live events, the two of us, since we're working online together. Let's try doing live events together to see where it goes. So once we've had this experience today, it was very successful in terms of the attendance numbers. We were maxed out in the small space that we had. People took a lot of value away. People were very grateful. Everyone felt that they got what they needed out of the workshop, which is perfect. And I'm really looking forward to the follow-up too, to see how it actually changes their lives and their work. Now, following this, like Jachym said, we're going to set up some more events because we know that it works, it's popular, we're on point. So that means, okay, that's a great sign. Let's keep on going. Plus, we're enjoying it. Plus, we're growing. So let's keep going. So as we set up new events, we're going to really look into what topics did the attendees bring up today. So they brought up topics that were related to work, interrelationships, about management, about authority, communication, things like that. So since that's kind of the bulk of the theme for that the people kind of came with, the problems they wanted to solve, we can kind of go into that direction where we can look into, okay, for a new entrepreneur or a new startup, which a couple of the people within the group today were, or for someone in a management position, which is also a good chunk of the attendees today, what are they going through and how can we help them? So we're literally using the feedback, we're using the topics that the people came to us with today and with the topics that we help them with to try to decide our next step. So as you see, like, we're not overwhelming ourselves, and this is one of the reasons why we are still in flow, is because we take one workshop, we look at all the feedback we've got, we look at our personal performance, we look at what the attendees gave us, how they enjoyed it, right? And we take it and we mold it into our next workshop. So that's what we're going to do, and it's going to be really exciting because we can test more topics, we can test, like further into this audience, which is really awesome. So from one thing that you do, you can get a lot out of it, and this is the whole deal about juicing the lemon. It can be for your content. Here, we even recorded it so that it's going to probably be on our YouTube channel soon. We can chop it up, turn it into more content, but most importantly, we're using one workshop which we've chosen the theme for, which is from fight to flow, but just from that, the people come in and we keep asking them, what would you like to take away from today? What situation are you fighting in? Do you find yourself fighting in? And with that, we're going to use that for the next step. And even with this, all the information that we receive, we realize that this can be a great opportunity for lead generation, right? We can sell our one-on-one service for coaching to help them along, for those who wish to dive deeper than just in this kind of group setting. Also, we realize that there are differing levels in which they can actually engage with this content. So maybe our workshops for just 2-hour format is great for an introduction for those of you, or for the people who have never been exposed to our approach to working, right? To productivity, to management, to communication in a way that's really easy, natural, and in flow. And then maybe we have, a certain percentage or chunk of the audience who actually want to do more. So maybe that will give us an idea that, okay, there are more committed clients. Maybe we need to save their names or emails or contacts, and then we start like a small scale, let's say, program, right? So all of these things are helping us not only create content, plan our future events, but also create products and generate income by offering services that fit them. So it's really incredible. Another thing, another inspiration we had was to keep this format because it's working here in Zurich, Switzerland. So since we have travel plans in late fall this year, we could very well replicate this exact format, right? Because we're testing it, it's working. We can bring it to, for example, Chiang Mai or to Kuala Lumpur or to Beijing. We could literally take it along with us and just tap into the expat communities, tap into the entrepreneurial communities, and keep going from there. So we could literally do a world tour of little workshops, right? You gotta start somewhere, and why not, if we're into it, build both online and offline. So it's been like really valuable just to take action on one idea. Thanks, Jachym, for that and for pushing me to go ahead with you in this collaboration. But yeah, I just want to highlight to you all the ways in which you can really use one workshop and juice it and let it inspire you, let it help you plan your next step, let it guide you to your next business step.
Yeah, and I mean, even what we haven't mentioned, but you can use the content that we created, as you said, for videos, but you can also use segments of it that have been good, and you can create blog posts around it, guest posts, and all of that. So there's even more ways that you can juice it. But what was really important for me, and what I'd like to kind of reflect on, is that it is really, 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 really useful to engage with people and present what you want to present, whatever your service is, if that's your business thing, service, whether it's in nutrition or fitness or whatever, and see how your customers, whether they're really your perfect target audience or not, but see how people engage with it. How do they take it? Where are they stuck? What are the things that are not really clear? How do they think? And I mean, those things is not something that you have to consciously ask yourself. I mean, you can ask afterwards those kind of questions, but just in the process of engaging with people, teaching them, sharing what you want to share in your course or in future workshops or in future seminars or in potential products, really helps you to hone down and see and then adjust your wording, your messaging, your approach, your steps, because you have it all in your head and it all looks fantastic and great. But when you actually go to people who are in that place, you may realize that certain things that you thought would work are not working, that they need, for example, further breakdown, or that they need different kinds of metaphors or words or whatever it is. So if you are an entrepreneur, engage as much as possible with people who are your potential customers.
in a way, we really listened. We talked a great deal because we had something to say and people were coming to resolve something in their lives, right? So clearly they wanted to hear our take on things. They wanted to learn from us, but at the same time, we took this opportunity to really listen to them, and we weren't acting like this. It wasn't just a speech, right? It wasn't just us standing up there and just saying what we know and just expecting them to soak it up like a sponge.
Yeah.
And I think taking this approach, letting it be a two-way conversation, especially in a group live event, takes some balls or a level of ballsiness, because that means you're putting yourself out there, plus what you're sharing, your philosophy or your idea, whatever it is that you're kind of selling or giving, you're putting yourself out there. There are going to be people who will agree with it, people who don't like it, people who might resist it and question you back. But that's the reality of putting yourself out there. And this is the whole thing of, being a personal brand and believing in what you have to share. So this is also a good time to realize that, okay, this is a great boot camp to refine and to check in. Do you really know your stuff? Right? If you do have the blind spots, or, for me, I'm still a bit insecure about I'm not like Jachym. I can't just go bang, bang, bang. Here are the concepts that are true, and this is the, life-giving force of, reality and, my current experience. And I can't do what Jachym does. I have my way. So to find my own voice and to get in touch with that and to get really, really good at communicating it. That's my goal now, because I realize, I can really work on that. But being in front of a live audience, being, I guess, courageous enough to invite their feedback, invite that conversation in from their part, it needs a level of openness and honesty from yourself, because there's no need to fake it until you make it. Just be honest with what you can share. Be honest with, what you can promise, and then it'll really, really help you to move the business forward.
If you're building a business out of service, then you're serving a group of people, and that needs the courage for you to go and actually listen to them, and then see how you can actually help, or how you can adjust your offering in a way so that those people can understand it and that they can benefit of it. It's not about you in the first place, but it's about them. Guess what else? What else is quite interesting is that we did very, very little planning for the workshop. We kind of talked about it here and there and thought about the major concepts that we might want to share, that you might want to share, and then we just rolled with it. And even when I was not as experienced as I'm now with giving workshops, I would think about the workshop when I would create a description of it and a title for it and all of that. And by the way, titles are really, 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 really important. You gotta really learn how to write a title that's attractive to your target audience, because that's how they filter through things. We all do that, whether it's newspaper or whether it's about what you want to attend. If the title sucks, people might not read any further, and they're not gonna come. But so I would think about the workshop then, and then I would not really touch on it again till the day of it happening. Sometimes just a few minutes before, and I'd be like, right, what is it? What are the major points I want to share? And I would just write them down, and then I would just go on for about 2 hours or whatever. And because it was always interactive with people and asking questions, I always felt it was quite natural to do it that way. And some people might get hung up about having it perfect or doing it, but actually, just know what are the things you want to share, and then just try it out.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I want to share or wrap this episode with, is that action is extremely important, and that's a huge component of being in flow in your business. You're not really in flow when you're completely stuck on just visions and you're just dreaming. and you're scheming and you're strategizing and you're not putting energy into the execution and the action. Like, what I really want to highlight for you, and I hope that we've been able to showcase that, is that by following another gut feeling, it just came to you, didn't it? Yeah, came to do this together.
Yep.
Once you get that inspiration, that feeling, you literally have to follow it and carry on that energy with action. You gotta execute it, because once you do, and I know we shared this many episodes ago, once you do take action, actually it's an article I wrote, but anyways, you will get the information that you need, that you require for the natural next step. Sometimes we spin the wheels trying to figure out all the steps in our head, but that's not necessary, nor is that helpful. That's not in flow when you're just spinning your wheels in your head. What is in flow is when you let that wave of the inspiration carry you into the action steps, taking that step and connecting with yourself, being aware enough, right, to soak up the opportunity. In this case, it means creating content on the spot. It means listening to the audience, it means honing our skills, getting better at what we do, refining it for the next workshop, getting the data points so that we can plan the next workshop, letting the inspiration, come, and eventually maybe even shape our travels later this year or next year to do even more workshops and to hack this framework. Like, literally, one idea led to action and led to all these beautiful things falling into place, and this is exactly what being in flow in your business means. But it requires that key action component. It requires the balls. Ladies, we have them too. Doesn't matter. Just strap them on if you... Oh my god, this is like family friendly. But, just put them on wherever you've lost them or left them. Put them back on and get through it, because nothing's going to happen. The flow is not coming, any of you, if you're not going to take action. Like, the flow is with you in the inspiration, in the action part, and then rinse and repeat. So this is really crucial, and that's all I gotta say.
All right, I think that's it for today. We've been going for quite a while, and I'm gonna say good night.
Yeah, good night, everybody. I hope that this episode was really helpful to you. If you have a friend who needs a pair of those, then maybe share this episode with them. But otherwise, please help us spread the word and support this podcast if it has helped you so far by leaving us lots of stars on whatever platform that you're listening from. We really appreciate it, and it'll help a whole community of us entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs to do this in the long winning game. So have a good night and talk to you tomorrow.
Goodbye.